First of all, thank you everyone for joining. Today we have Saptarshi Prakash with us for our session on why UX is important in a product. For those of you who follow him, you must have seen his post on how trivial the title sounds. But I think we're all looking forward to hear him talk about the topic. Just a little intro. He is the product design manager at Swiggy, and he's a very active speaker. I think he'll be giving his 100th talk very soon, I guess. I think he's done almost around 65 talks so far. So I'm looking forward to the session, and up to you.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining me on a Saturday evening. I'm really grateful. So before we start, I would like to say one thing that, Pankaj had said, that I have been delivering a lot of talks in the past. So if you have attended any of my past talks, you may see one or two things which are, similar, which you have been through before. So yeah, you'll please bear with me with that. And also there was another talk which I delivered around a week back. It was a longer one. It was a 2-hour long talk. So if any of you have happened to attend that, so then, you might want to skip, because this is a subset of that. This is going to be a subset of that, just a shorter one, because we have around 35 minutes for this one. So yeah, if you're good, let's get started. All right. So this is an online talk. So which means I do not get to see your faces. You get to see my faces. I hope you have my video. At any point of the time, if you stop hearing me, or if you stop seeing my slides, or you stop seeing my video, please reach out to Pankaj. She is coordinating the whole thing. Maybe then she can, barge in, and we can fix the whole thing. Another thing is, since I do not get to see you guys, I do not get to see your faces, it gets difficult for me to understand if you guys are even following it. So, feel free to use the chat feature. Please feel free to use the chat feature. If you agree, disagree, you can use +1, or I think Zoom also has this feature of raise hand. So, if I ask a question like, how many of you have been doing this? So, you can use the raise hand feature. So let us try and make most of this tool. And yeah, let's get started. All right, I will just share my screen right now. All right, do you get to see my screen? Can I see some reactions? +1? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending. I'm Saptarshi, and like Pankaj had introduced, I'm design manager at Swiggy. And I don't have to tell you what Swiggy is about, because I'm sure you know it. I have a long name even for Indian standards, so please feel free to call me Sapta. That's what friends do, and I prefer you call me that way because it's much easier. And below Saptarshi PR, that's my handle across all social platforms. Give me a sec. I think I got muted. Okay, yeah, that's my handle across all social platform, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So feel free to connect with me and reach out to me for anything that you need, right? So before going anywhere further, let's see what we are going to talk about today, and it's design. Quite obvious, right? Because I'm a designer, and that's something I'm probably most qualified to speak about. But let's see something else that I think you are more interested about. Design thinking, right? Okay, let me ask you this question. How many of you feel you are a design thinker? You are a design thinker. Any kind of reactions that you want to share? Okay, I see a few of them. Okay, and what about the remaining? The remaining, you're not? Okay, so this is what design thinking is defined as. It's the cognitive, strategic, and practical processes by which design concepts, proposals for new products, buildings, machines, etc. are developed. I picked this up somewhere from the internet. And when I look into this definition, I feel this definition needs another definition to make it understandable. Like this itself has so many words and topics, which isn't standalone, which could do justice to the meaning of the word design thinking. So, all these kind of definitions, all these kind of workshops and even talks, which, which claims to teach you design thinking, I don't quite believe in that because I feel it's overrated. You know why I feel it's overrated? Because you are made to believe that you cannot do design thinking or you cannot think design, which is absolutely wrong. Because we all as human beings are natural design thinkers. And all of us do that without even knowing. We do it every time, and we just don't know the name, that it has a fancy name as design thinking, right? Let me quickly show you a scenario. Yeah, it's a situation, okay? It's 3 a.m., you're sleeping, you're in your bed, fast asleep, and then your suddenly phone rings and you wake up with the ring of the phone. And then before you could pick it up, the line gets cut and you see it's one of your friend. The number is saved. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this? Any comments? Okay, I see some. Emergency, worry, concern. Is he okay? Something urgent, call back. Yes, panic. Got to call him back. Is he or she all right? My friend is in trouble. Okay, so everyone's saying that something must be wrong. Otherwise, he or she wouldn't be calling me at 3 in the morning, right? Absolutely correct. Now, what if I tell you, this friend is a person who has the habit of, just calling up just like that, who frets over even the smallest thing and who keeps calling up, doesn't matter whether it's day or night. And if I give you that kind of a brief, then probably you will, think a bit, okay, this could be an emergency, this could be important, but maybe just he or she's being his usual self, and maybe just a trivial thing. Maybe I'll just call him up in the morning. Like someone just posted saying spam. Yes, it could be spam. So you see, the way you analyze this entire situation is you've seen a missed call, the time is 3 a.m., which is odd, and the friend, depending on how the friend is, who the friend is, you imagine something or you predict something about what might be happening. Either, it's a spam or, it's an important or emergency situation. And if the time had not been 3 a.m., had it been 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. as it is today, probably you think in a completely different way. You might not even miss the call in the first place. Maybe the phone is right beside you and you would just pick up, right? So you see what we do? This entire process that we did is nothing but design thinking. Yes, nothing more. And once I tell you this, you should be able to connect with a lot of happenings which happens in your daily life. Something happens and you think, okay, this could have happened that way. That's why let me do this. There's going to be a lockdown, so let me buy, 10 packets of Maggie because, you like Maggie or something like that. So we all try and analyze the situation, the time, and the people involved, and then we make predictions. So in short, design thinking is nothing but predicting certain things, right? All right, we'll get back to design thinking, but then let us just simplify it a little more. Let's think about thinking, all right? Let's play a quick game. Can you all close your eyes? Okay, you don't have to do it right away. When I say, just close your eyes, and then I will speak out a word. So what happens is, when your eyes are closed, you got to hear me, and I will speak one word, and you need to think what that word triggers in your mind. The first thing that the word brings to your mind. And the reason your eyes needs to be closed, because we want you to concentrate only on that word that you hear from me. Are you ready? Perfect. So when I say 3, 2, 1, everyone's eyes should be closed. 3, 2, and 1, eyes closed. Apple. Apple. All right. You can open your eyes now. Okay. I already see some people have typed some of the comments, and I wonder how could you type it even without opening your eyes? So which means you guys haven't closed your eyes. Hey, I see it. Okay, never mind. So now that your eyes are open, How many of you saw this? Yeah, I see a couple of comments. Fruit, apple slices, me +1, +1. Okay, a lot of people saw this. Great. How many of you have seen this? This? Nobody? Nope. Okay, so this is an apple pie. You know why you haven't seen this? Because we are in India and we are not much used to having this, right? And maybe if you were in America or somewhere in the West, maybe some of you, of course, a smaller subset of the people might have even seen this, right? Yeah, more of an American thing, like somebody had said. Moving on. How many of you have seen this or anything related to this? Oh yes, +1, me. Great, yes, this is 2020 and I love it. Okay, somebody saw both, but I said, what's the first thing that you saw? I think somebody saw it for the second time. Okay. How many of you saw this or anything related to this event? There's Adam and Eve, by the way. Nope, nope, nope. Yes, okay, somebody saw this. Okay, okay, great, okay. Okay, how many of you have seen this? Nobody has seen this? Nope. Somebody said it's a ring light. Nope. Nope. Yes, it could be a ring light, but then why would you think this when you hear the word apple? Okay, somebody has said something really interesting. Arun Kumar, shout out to you. Okay, so, for most of us, when you see this ring, it doesn't mean anything to you. But the moment I show you this, it starts making a lot of sense. Or at least for the people who know how the Apple Park in Cupertino looks like, right? So yes, this is the Apple's headquarters, which is there in Cupertino. And if you see it on the map, the top view looks something like this. Yes, some of you have actually figured out that this could be the Apple Park because, I use the word Apple, but it wasn't easy for you to perceive. It wasn't easy for you to think that Apple is related to this by just seeing the ring. You know why? It's because we are not used to seeing this. So in short, we can think or imagine of only those things, objects, or events that we are used to seeing, that we know of. Something that we do not know of, we just do not relate. Same with this ring, because you haven't seen it. Same with the apple pie, because maybe you haven't had it as often as an American would do. But next time, now that you have been through this entire thing, next time when you see this ring and you hear the word apple, maybe you will think of, okay, this could be the Apple Theater or the Apple Park because I heard it in Saptar's talk. So you see how things get seeded in your head. And also before that, one simple word like apple could bring about so many different kinds of emotions in the minds of the people that it's really hard to imagine what someone would have thought about. And that's what makes our job challenging. And that's what makes design thinking challenging. Because like what I have told you before, everyone does design thinking, like the 3 a.m. example, or think of any other incident at your home or around you. We are doing design thinking for our own self. We are predicting things for our own self. The moment you are made to do it for somebody else, it gets difficult. Now, it's very easy to say when you hear the word apple, what came to your mind? But it's very difficult for you to say what would have come to my mind or somebody else's mind, because we do not know others as good as we know ourselves. So this is what makes design thinking challenging, right? We'll get to this again. But okay, I showed you an unfamiliar building. Let me show you a familiar building right now. Okay. Big Bazaar. I'm sure everyone has shopped in this place, or if not shopped, at least have been. If you're an Indian and if you live in a city, I'm sure you have been to a Big Bazaar. So I'm specifically referring to the fashion section of Big Bazaar. That is the section which sells apparel, right? So I think it's also called Fashion at Big Bazaar or something, right? Even before you enter the shop, you'd see posters and banners, everything shouting out about value. I can read in the image, it says shop for 2,000 and get 1,000 cash back. It's shouting out the value, right? And this is another shop. I'm sure everyone has been or shopped in this place as well. This is Zara. And this also sells apparel. But the moment you see the entrance, the facade or the storefront, it's way different from Big Bazaar. The functions of both of these are same. They sell apparel. But you see how different both those things are? Let's actually take a level deeper inside. This is the comparison. There's a stark difference. The other side doesn't talk anything about value, price, or discounts or anything. In fact, it doesn't even say what it is at the outside. So if you do not know what Zara is, and if you do not see there's apparel inside, you can not know anything what is happening. This is how the inside of a Big Bazaar looks like. It has everything nicely arranged. T-shirts at one place, maybe capris on the other, shirts behind, and the jeans the other side. And it's very easy to navigate and go pick up what you want. If you know that you want to buy a jeans and you know that you want to buy it from this brand, so you just go there, you navigate to that shelf, you pick up the jeans or the color and the size that you want, and you're done. Right? This is how a Zara looks like. I think the first impression everyone would say is it's very clean. It's beautiful. It's white. And at the first glance, you might also think that it is similar to Big Bazaar, just that it is more beautiful. It looks more sophisticated because you see you have similar racks here. You have some blazers and some overcoats and some jackets which are hung around in the same fashion, exact same fashion as it was done in Big Bazaar. But here's the difference. The difference is the shelves that you see at the bottom, they are all temporary. They change based on the time of the year, time of the day, and the collection that they have. What, however, doesn't change are these shelves at the sides. Along the edge, these are the shelves. And this is very different from the way apparel are laid out in a Big Bazaar. You see, they're all arranged in a way which makes it easier for you to pair up and buy. It has a jacket with a trouser right below, with the shoes right under it, which goes with the things which are put there. And it has a top shelf where all the accessories are kept. It could be a cap, a hat, or a bag, or anything else that goes with your apparel, right? So this is the primary way of shopping in a Big Bazaar, in a Zara, because most of the users, like some of you have said here, the target audience is different. They like to shop that way. They usually do not have the intent that I need to get a new t-shirt, so let me just go and buy. Of course, there are people who go with that kind of intent, but majority of the people just want a refresh in their cupboard. They just want to go and shop the complete look instead of just one thing. So in this kind of arrangement, if you were to go and actually pick up one black t-shirt or something, you might actually find it difficult because the black t-shirts would be scattered around across the shop in different categories and different collections and sections. And you might have to walk around the shop multiple times to have a glance and have a complete look at all the black t-shirts which are there. Whereas if you want to do the same thing in Big Bazaar, it'll be a much easier experience because there'll be a limited number of places where all the t-shirts, solid colored t-shirts or the black ones are stacked, and you can easily navigate to one, pick up, and you're done. This is because the way people shop in these two places are very different, right? And in Zara, nobody talks about value or nobody talks about discounts. The reason being that is not the primary thing. But does it mean there's no value in Zara? Absolutely not. Zara has tremendous amount of value for the kind of people who shop there. Value is not always about the money that you save, but it could also be about the time that you save. For a person who's shopping in Big Bazaar, their intent probably would be to get the right thing quickly. If I need a t-shirt, I would just go there. I know the section, I buy it. And of course, money as well. We want to get it at the cheapest possible price because, because I want to save some money. In Zara, things could be different. The needs of the customers could be, I want to shop something which is different from what my friends wear, something which is exclusive, something which will make me stand out, hence the entire look, hence the exclusivity. And when you desire for all these things, maybe price also matters, but somewhere lower in the list of the priority of the users who shop at Zara. So in the first glance, although these two might have the same functionality, but they're completely different products. And one of the major things which differentiates these two things, of course, in addition to many other things, is design. Because the emotions of the people are different, and so are their needs. So you need to know your customer, who they are, and what they want, and of course, their needs. Once you know these two things, whole lot of different things gets unlocked. And this is where design thinking comes into the picture. Just that in this time, it's not you, but it's customers. And the customers may not be same as you. You could be one kind of a shopper, one kind of an apparel shopper, but you are trying to think, or you are trying to understand what someone else who belongs to a different level of the society, who has different aspiration, needs, and likes and dislikes and fears, you need to think for that person. This exercise becomes slightly complicated because you do not know that person as well, right? So here is a great example of functionally two things are same, but they are way different products, and both of them are doing wonderfully well in their respective domains. Okay, let's move on. Now, when I use the word thanks, we all know what it means. Like thanks is showing gratitude or thanking someone for a favor or something. Now, when I add this thing to my thanks, you know that I'm happy and I'm thanking you for something that you have done to me, something good that you have done to me. Now, if I change the emoji to this, now thanks has got a completely different meaning. This looks one of those sarcastic thanks, which you say, thanks, but no thanks, sort of thanks, right? You see, functionally, both those things were absolutely same. They're all using the word thanks, but just the presence of an emotion into it completely changes the meaning of it. And in this world where most of us are working from our homes remotely, and you're using a text messenger for communicating, I'm sure you know the value of what I just said, because a certain thing could mean very different with different emotions. Design brings this emotions into an otherwise empty product. So that is why UX or design is really important while building a product. Let me show you a few more examples. This remote, I'm sure everyone has seen it. Every single one has used one. This is the remote controller of a regular color television that you find in Indian homes, or rather, to put it this way, what you used to see once upon a time in the Indian homes. A channel with lots of buttons, which helps you to navigate and do different sort of functionality. And in the social media and Facebook, Instagram, and all those places, I'm sure a lot of people have come across posts which compares this remote with this. They say that, hey, this is, this company hasn't done it well. They have put it a lot of buttons and all, but look at this. Apple has done a wonderful job, just 4 buttons or 5 buttons, and it's the same remote. In fact, I have a TV at home. It's an MI TV. This is the remote of the MI TV. Let me just hold it close. It is similar to an Apple TV's remote. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons, and this dialer using which I can navigate between different things, right? Very similar to the Apple TV remote. But you know what? I use my TV only for streaming. I don't have any cable connection or a DTH connection. So I just have Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, and a couple of other services. And this remote works perfectly well, just like the Apple TV remote. But imagine if you were to watch the channels which your DTH or your cable subscriber provides you with, how would a remote like this manage? You probably need something else, the remote which comes with your DTH, right? Otherwise, how else could you navigate to, when you have 1,000 TV channels, how else could you navigate to the 852nd channel without using a number pad? Well, I'm not saying a number pad is the best idea, but it's certainly a way which lets you navigate. I'm not sure how this remote or the Apple TV remote would do that. Luckily, DTH connections like Airtel TV or Dish TV or Tata Sky comes with their own remotes. But think of the local cable that we used to use once upon a time. How would you navigate using this remote or even this remote? it might get really difficult. So the fact that something looks cleaner and looks well designed doesn't mean it serves exactly the same purpose. So although these two are remotes for two different TVs, and maybe so as this, they are completely different products. They're targeted for different kinds of users. They're targeted for different needs. And they attempt to make the experience better for their respective use cases. And there is some overlap, but there are lots of things which do not overlap as well. Okay, moving on. So one thing, which I advocate everyone, whether you're a designer, whether you're a product manager, or whether you're any kind of role that you are in, is to ask questions, because that's the only way using which you can get into the core of any problem. It often happens that we are told to do something, we are told to design something, we are told to write a PRD about something, but unless we do not know what exactly we are trying to solve with that, we can never do a great job. There's a very famous story by, it's a folklore sort of story, which involves Henry Ford. It is said that once the mayor of the city went to Henry Ford. Henry Ford, by the way, is the founder of the Ford Motor Company, right? So before he found the Ford Motor Company, he used to be a carriage maker. He used to make horse-drawn carriages. So once the mayor of the city came to his shop, his carriage shop, and said, I want a carriage with 100 horses. This was his request. Now, as a good technician or as a good designer, Henry Ford could have gone and built a carriage with 100 horses in front of it. But that's not what he did. You know what he did? He asked the question. He asked why. He said, why do you want a carriage with 100 horses? He said, because I want to meet my wife. Then he again asked why. He said, my wife lives in a different city, right? So after a series of whys, what Henry figured out that the mayor didn't really want a carriage with 100 horses. He just wanted faster carriages because his wife was in a different city. He wanted to go meet his wife and come back on the same day. And a regular carriage wasn't fast enough for that purpose. So he wanted a faster carriage. And with the limited knowledge which the mayor had about carriages and vehicles in general, he thought that 100 carriages was the solution. And this happens very often. This happens to all of us when we are given requests by stakeholders who do not have complete technical knowledge to find the right solution. This is a human nature. We always go with the solution instead of finding out what the problem is. So we as product makers, it's our responsibility to find out what the core of the problem is by asking questions, right? And this is also a part of design thinking. You ask questions to your stakeholders, or you ask questions to your users when you're trying to understand your customers, the people who you're building it for. So asking questions is really, really important, right? Okay, the next one is design process. Again, if you do a Google search using design process and go to the images tab, you will see a lot of images like this, what you see in my screen right now. It says, first step is empathize, then you define, then you ideate, then you prototype, then you test. So, this is the process which they say it is. But, I slightly differ from this, because what I've observed from my experiences, design processes often, or more often, something like this. Yes, all the 5 things that you put there, which is shown in the previous one, are valid. They happen, but they do not necessarily happen in the order that is said. A real design process in a real world is something like this, what you see. Yes, it has got the different stages, but there are lots of backs and forths. The color blurbs that you see are nothing but, they are similar to the colors, empathize for blue, define for green. I just tried to draw a map of the reality versus what is told to you, right? So this is how it is. And, I'm not sure if the streaming is letting you see that. There's a blue thing across the entire process, which is empathy. Because empathy can never be a first step which you do and you just forget about it. It remains throughout. Empathy is nothing but when you understand your consumers. There's not a single point of time during your design phase or your building phase where you can stop thinking about your consumer or your user, right? Lots of back and forths, lots of going around here and there. And finally, you arrive where you you build a prototype and you test it out with your people, and then you come back. Of course, the iterative process is not shown here. You come back and you make changes again, and then you keep doing the same thing again and again, right? So this is the reality. All right, let me show you an example of that it's related to Swiggy. As you know, I work for Swiggy, so this is one small project in Swiggy. Let me say, I personally didn't work on it because this is a relatively older product, an older feature that we have in the Swiggy app, and it was already built before I joined the organization. So yes, Swiggy is about food. It's about lovely Indian food, like the picture that you see here. It's very tasty, very oily, and very unhealthy too, but we love to eat it regardless. And this is how the Swiggy app looks like. We sell food like that. So the normal flow is, you pick up a restaurant, because it's always driven by restaurant. You pick a restaurant and then you pick items. And then once you do, your bill kind of looks like this. Maybe say you have 2 items and they have certain price, 140, 110, there's an item total. Then there are delivery charges, because, we are delivering the food for you. And also people like me needs to keep getting paid. And there are packaging charges, because we are packing your food. And now in the scene of COVID, of course, many restaurants are taking extra steps to do better packaging. But of course, this is a different thing. And the grand total comes to around 295 rupees for this example. Your item total was 250, but with all the additional charges that you put over it, the total goes all the way up to 295. But you know what people want, what users want? They want a bill like this. And we don't have to look into any data or speak to any consumers to understand this. We know that most of the people do not like to pay this additional charges above and beyond the price of your food. Also, there was another thing that we figured out over time by meeting a lot of people and also looking into data, that most of the people who were transacting on the platform were single users. So they were like an individual and who's buying food just for their own self. So which means one person is going to eat. And if you see 250 rupees, even if I remove all the charges, it's actually a way too much for a single meal for Indian standards, because things are cheap here in India, right? And also, one full paneer tikka masala, one full dry fruit pulao would probably be too much for a single person to have in a one meal. So we understood, we figured out all these problems. We understood what our users, certain kind of users, single users who are transacting in our platform want from MEMS. So we designed something for them. So we said, okay, let's bring everything together as a package, and the bill can look like this. No extra charges, just the price of the item. And since it's customized, it's curated for a single meal, we can also bring down the price, because it's just so much that you can eat for a single meal. It's efficient, no extra charges, and it fits one person completely. This is nothing but, as you guys are some of you have rightly guessed, it's Swiggy Pop. So we removed the entire concept of restaurant because we thought that it needs to be faster. So we curated a lot of meals based on the time of the day and the meal time of the day. We picked up selected items from different restaurants and put them in one single page, so that you skip one step, one unnecessary steps. You just pick an item, just pay in one step, and you are done. No fears about why am I paying extra, or what will I do with the extra food which I won't be able to finish. No concerns at all. You use Pop and you're done, right? So this is what Swiggy Pop is, and it sits right here in the middle of the Swiggy app. I'm sure all of you know what this app is about. That is Swiggy. Now, everyone knows what Swiggy is, but very few of you probably know what Swiggy Daily is. Is there anyone who knows Swiggy Daily? Okay. A lot of people know it. Cool. Okay. So Swiggy Daily is primarily serviceable in Gurgaon and certain areas of Bangalore. So the way Swiggy Daily is different is it also sells food, but it sells slightly different kind of food. It sells home style foods, not only homemade. Yes, I'll come to that bit. So there are some food which are homemade, that is made by home chefs in homes. And there are some other food which comes from other kitchens and they are cooked in a home style way. None of the food that you find on Daily are restaurant food. They're not foods from restaurant like what you have in Swiggy. Now, functionally, both of them are same. They sell food, but slightly different kind of food. So Swiggy Daily was one of the first projects that I worked on when I first joined Swiggy. And I had to design the listing of Swiggy Daily. And even in Swiggy Daily, the item was, it was all item first. There was no restaurants. You know, you would open the app and you would see items right away, bang, 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 and you pick, you buy, and you are done. So my first thought was, it is just like Pop. So why not use the Pop thing? So I, opened the old sketch files. I picked up the designs of Pop and I put it here. I said, yeah, fine, this totally works. So this is what is there. It says Chicken Whopper by Burger King and the price is $149. Then I thought, okay, chicken burger is not where we're going to sell in daily. So let me put a more realistic name. So, I had a list of the name items as well. And one of the items was Deluxe North Indian Egg Meal. So I put the name, and it was by a lady, a home chef called Nidhi Parulkar. I put her name there and I put the price. Now, when we put it there, I again got into the shoes of the user who would be seeing this listing. The name says Deluxe North Indian Egg Meal. The only thing which clarifies it is that it'll have something to do with egg. And maybe I can see it in the picture that there's a picture of an egg curry. But what else is there? What is the other bowl? Or, what are those small bowls which are around? And it shows 3 rotis. So do I have an option to get 2? Or do I have an option to swap it with rice? There were lots of uncertainties here. So I thought, okay, let's solve those uncertainties. Let us put a detail as to what the meal will contain. Because, it's not a single item, it's a meal. Then I put another line of text which says egg curry, bhindi masala, raita, and 3 rotis by Mrs. Nidhi Parulkar, and it's 89 rupees. Now, the moment I put this, what was looking elegant before, it doesn't look elegant anymore. Now, imagine if this listing just gets repeated across the entire grid, there's a lot of text for the user to actually, digest this entire thing. So then came the next phase of decisions. I thought, okay, let's do this. Let's remove the description, or rather, let's remove the name and use the description as the name. Because that Deluxe North Indian meal isn't saying anything. I probably won't even relate to that name ever. What I care about is what is there in that and who is cooking it. So, egg curry, bhindi masala, I put that as a name. And I also make the picture bigger because the point was to bring the emotions of home food. Because we had to differentiate it from the regular restaurant food that is cooked, because you can buy an egg thali from a restaurant as well, but this was different because it was cooked in a different way, which is easy for your stomach, which is something that you can eat every day without having to bother about your health. So the home thing, the home style had to come out, hence steel plates in photography and stuff like that. But even in this, the question was, who is Nidhi Parulkar? Nobody knows her. It's not a Burger King or a McDonald's or a Rajdhani that you have heard of and you can trust. So the natural questions would be, is this person even qualified to cook food for me? Is her home kitchen clean? Is it safe? Is she taking the necessary steps which is needed for a quality food which I can eat? There were lots of questions. I know that not everything can be solved at a listing level like this, but this could have been a serious threat to trust, right? So we thought, okay, let's do something. There's not a lot we can do, but let us try and humanize this thing a bit so that, you connect with the emotional aspect of the person who's cooking. So, one simple thing was to just put a picture, because picture, you'll at least get to see the image of the person and maybe relate it with someone that maybe your aunt or your mom or your sister or your brother, someone who cooks, right? Then we also thought, let us add one more line of description, which says why this person, is good enough for you to cook the food for you. And it could be that this person is a YouTube cooking instructor who turned into a home chef, or it could be an IT employee like you and me who just loves to cook so much that he quit his job and he started cooking on a platform like Swiggy Daily. And these one-liners, they add to the difference. They, you start thinking things in a different way. So you wouldn't just see it as an egg curry or a roti which has come from any other place, but you will always try and understand that, okay, this guy is just like me, or this person teaches on YouTube. This has to be something different. So your entire lens through which you look into the product changes with some of these modifications. And also, we went a step ahead, which is not on the listing, of course. When you tap on this, you would also get to see the profile of the person. So, there's a story behind how this person is cooking, or, pictures of the kitchen, what inspires him or her to cook, and what are their motto in life and stuff like that. So that is also we have done, because it is not just food. Although functionally it is just like Swiggy, but it's a more like an emotion, where we are trying to show you that home food is a more emotional thing than a tasty thing. Of course, an egg curry which you buy from a restaurant with a lot of butter and masala and ghee would taste much better, but this has a different feel to it, and we wanted that emotions to come out of it. This is where design comes into the picture, right? So this is how the Swiggy daily app is. It's serviceable in Gurgaon right now, and also in some parts of Bangalore as well. So yes, this is what we started with, and this is what we ended with, right? So yes, asking questions not just to others, but to your own self as well. Because while designing it, I asked questions to my own self, like what will the user feel? What will the user feel? And I tried to remove all those things here. Okay, I think time is running out, so I just have 2 or 3 slides remaining, and I think we can quickly finish it before time. So this is a coffee. I'm sure everyone has had this kind of coffee. It costs around 150 rupees. You can go to places like CCD, Starbucks, and you can savor a coffee like this, right? There's also another kind of coffee that is sold. This one. This is our very lovely filter coffee, costs around 10 rupees, right? Now, what is the difference between these two coffees? Both of them are coffees, but one is a highly decorated form of it. Yes, there is a real coffee, but then there's a form. Then there's an art. It's served in a nice, it's served in nice crockery. There are 1 or 2 coffee beans which are strewn around. And think about the place that you're sitting. Must be an air-conditioned, nice place with some soft music playing. You would have Wi-Fi. You can bring your laptop and work. An ideal place for having a date, correct? The other one, the filter coffee, is not really that. It just solves the basic things. It's coffee, that's it. Have it and just go home. So again, these two are fundamentally or functionally the same things, but the emotions behind each of these things are very different, which makes them very different, 2 different products, and both of them are doing really well in their own spaces, right? Of course, we all have our personal preferences as to which one we like between these two. It's filter coffee for me, so let me know what you like in the comments section, right? So yet again, you see how design changes the proposition of a lot of things. And in the left one, that is the cappuccino, the fancy coffee, just because a lot of fancy things are done, you could sell it for a price which is 15 times more than the other one. Yeah. But what is, however, important is to know what our users want. We cannot serve this coffee to the users of that, and that coffee to the users of this. Of course, there's no hard and fast differentiation as to this person is this and this person is that. Like, for example, if I'm on a date, I'll have the coffee on the left side of the street. And if I'm just walked out of the office and just want to have a coffee break with my office friends, I would prefer the filter coffee. So it depends on situation who the persona becomes, right? So that means, like, the fancy things that you put over a basic thing could be delighters, but if your fundamentals are not right, or if you show the wrong thing, or if you give the wrong thing to the wrong user, then they can become frustrators, right? What can come like a nice thing, it doesn't take time for that to become bad. There's a Japanese scientist who discovered this thing called Kano model. I'm sure many of you have seen it. This is probably the most complicated bit in my entire slide. So this says that there are things which there are certain things which are the basic expectations of the customers, then which satisfies you, right? Below all of things are basic needs, because if the basic needs are not given, then you will never be satisfied. So once the basic needs are given, a little over that, that is the standard thing, satisfier. Anything above that are delighters, which just makes them happy, makes you happy. So if you step into a restaurant and you get a free welcome drink, that's a delighter, right? But if you step into a restaurant and you don't find seats, that's a bad thing. It's a frustrator, because it's one of the basic needs, right? But the welcome drink is a delighter. But think about it. If you keep getting that welcome drink again, it becomes your habit, and it becomes a basic need or a satisfier for you. So if you one fine day you go to the restaurant and the welcome drink is not given, it might even frustrate you, right? What happens in daily lives, like the Google Pay cards, if you remember, they would give you cashbacks every now and then. And when you got it for the first time, you're all happy because you never expected that 10 or 15 rupees of cashback. And then you started getting it again, again, again. And then one fine day, when you see better luck next time, you get frustrated, right? So you saw what made you happy, the presence of what made you happy once upon a time because you never expected it. And now that when it became your habit, you just can't do without it, right? So that's, guys, pretty much what I had for today. 35 minutes is too small, too short to cover this entire concept, but I will strongly urge that you attend some of my other longer talks where I go in depth and where I interact with you guys more and let you do some of the hands-on work as well, right? So for now, yes, if we have time, Pankaj, we can do a short Q&A.
Okay, so thank you for the session, actually. How would
You're
you
welcome.
like to do the Q&A? So,
okay, if there are any
maybe we can just
questions
like
on the
do
comment
5, 10
section
minutes.
or any doc that you might have shared, Pankaj, maybe you can read out one or two of those questions and I can, a couple of those questions depending on time, and I can answer them. Or else
Okay.
we can take questions even now. How does it usually happen in your sessions?
We actually like take questions that are like on the chat because that will like give us some time for you to like read and like answer them as well. So if people can just like ask questions on the chat, maybe you can just like pick it up.
Yes, would you help me pick up because I see
Sure,
when
sure.
I'm answering there would be a lot of questions. So maybe you can look into the chat, you can pick up the questions and I will answer them. Does it work?
Yeah, yeah, sure. We'll just probably like do that for like next 5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. So I see that there are a couple of questions. So the first one is, can you quickly summarize on how design thinking differ from regular thinking?
Honestly, I don't think there is any difference.
Okay.
There isn't any difference. Like I use the example, when you say regular thinking is when you do not know the fancy name, but when you know it, you'll know that it's almost same. Just that at times you do thinking for somebody else, which makes it a little more complicated and hence a different word maybe.
Got it. And the next one is, what's your opinion on using design thinking versus design sprints?
Oh, they are different thing. Design sprints is a way of executing. It's a plan. I will do this first, and within this time I will finish this part. Within the other time I will finish something else. That is in a way design sprint. So it is. It was started by Google Ventures, so you can read about it. It's nothing but a plan of action, so that within a short time, which is 5 days in case of Google design sprints, you can execute one whole project and you will go through each and every phase, which is ideation, building, prototyping, testing within 5 days. Otherwise 5 days is too short, right? So it is extremely time bound way. Yeah.
Okay, and I think there's a question that's related to your talk. So what is your sorting order for Swiggy Pop, like Home Chef's sorting order?
Okay, so it's actually more complex than it seems. One thing that you might have noticed that the listing doesn't have any mention about ratings. There are no ratings anywhere. So ideally you might think that why isn't there a rating? Because that's one of the ideal way to sort. The reason is they all are new and we do not have enough ratings. Ratings are only good when there are in large numbers, and then you can actually deduce, okay, if 1,000 people have said this is 4.5 out of 5, then it must be good. But if just 3 people have said 4.5 out of 5, not so good, right? So we are waiting to build a database when we have enough sample space, and we'll start showing the ratings. For now, it is relevance. Now, what exactly goes inside relevance is something that I cannot talk about, of course. And of course, I do not know about it as well completely. But there are a lot of things. It's about some of the ratings that we are gathering but not showing you. It's about how well the chef had performed. What kind of complaints had come, right? Or what is the various kinds of cuisines or food that they're giving. So there are many criteria based on which the order is decided.
Got it. Okay, and then there are actually quite a lot of questions. So I'm just going to pick the one that's right there in front of
Yeah.
me.
So guys, I know you have a lot of questions and time is short, so I will answer as many as we can now. Otherwise, this is my handle, and you can reach out to me in any of this platform. You can drop me a message on LinkedIn with your question, and I would surely love to answer it. Yeah, even if it doesn't get picked now, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Pankaj.
Okay. So there's a question that asks, as a PM, best way to convey my design thinking to other stakeholders?
As a PM, or the best way? Okay.
Yeah.
So, conveying design thinking or conveying any kind of thing is a different skill altogether. That is your communication skills. So if you really want to get better at that, so by communication skill, I just don't mean a good vocabulary or a language, but how well or convincingly can you communicate a piece of thing to somebody else with the right amount of emotions, with the right amount of things. One way to get better at this is practice storytelling. Storytelling is really important because if you want to really bring out the entire emotions behind it and create that impact which you had in your mind, to communicate that impact, you need to be a storyteller, and normal communicating might not help there. So yeah, you can do that.
All right. And how do you decide on your target customers when everyone buys food? What's Swiggy's user persona?
So there isn't just a one single persona. There are multiple personas that we work at. I mean, that we consider when we are working on any product like Swiggy. And they honestly, there doesn't have to be a lot of difference between the persona, say, a competition product has, because we are targeting the same kind of users and we are the same business. So there won't be a lot of difference. And personas are, there are many kinds of personas. There are at least 5 or 6 types of personas that Swiggy caters to. Yeah. And if you want to know about a little more about them in detail, maybe we can connect offline on them, because that itself would be a bigger thing to talk about.
All right. So the next one is, does the design process or framework should always be rigid, or can it be flexible or molded according to the need of the project?
Absolutely flexible. Absolutely flexible, because you see all the framework and the rules, be it anything, doesn't have to be with design, is nothing but a set of things which worked for somebody. Starting from Newton's laws of motion. What is Newton's laws of motion? Because it was always there. He was a smart guy. He figured out that when this happens, this happens. So he just figured out some rules so that we not so smart people can refer to those formulas and use them for our benefit. Just like same way, the design rules or any other framework or the laws that you have are nothing but one smart guy figured out that if you do this way, it works in majority of the cases. And for us, instead of blindly following them, you should understand why that rule was written in the first place. And once you understand them well, then you will know that on what conditions you can break them or modify them to fit your needs better. So I think that's what we should target. It's never a rigid rule, never, ever.
Okay. And how did you go about designing new experience for recent situation of COVID-19 on Swiggy app? I see a lot of new things on it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So that is keeping me awake every night. So you see, the situation right now is nothing much changes on Swiggy, but it's about the trust of the people. So the best that any company like Swiggy can do is to ensure every safety measure, which is recommended by the World Health Organizations and other government, and employ them within our delivery partners and restaurant partners, and convey them rightly with the right emotions again, like I said. So you as a user should be confident viewing things on Swiggy and ordering without the fear of getting infected. So this is the problem that we are trying to solve right now. So how can we bring the confidence in the minds of the user? Because we know we have taken great steps, but if you do not know it as well, or if you are not convinced about it as well, the work isn't done. So it's a two-step thing. The first part we have done, or we are doing. The second part is to let you guys know what we are doing so that you feel safe. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your advice to young designers emerging in India?
Young designers emerging in India. Great. That's a good question. I keep getting asked that question a lot. Uh, One single advice that I can give you is, one of the main advices that I can give you is start thinking like a designer, because design is way beyond the screens that you create or the boxes that you fill with colors or the apps that you make. It's a lot more than that. It's about understanding what your users are, what they need. It's about knowing what their emotions are and how do you translate emotions in your digital artifacts. So these are the biggest challenges. If you want as a starting point, you can start critiquing anything around you. You can find anything, like see this remote, or you see this AirPods. You just see it around and you see what is not right about this thing, or what could have been better. Maybe it's too slippery, it slips off my hand, or maybe this could be better because it's too fragile. So you can do this for anything around you, be it a chair that you sit on or that app that you use to book your cab or order your food. Start critiquing them, and that's what I mean by looking at a thing like a designer. Everyone sees the things, but a designer not just sees, he analyzes as well. He questions himself, like, why is it this way? Why is it not the other way? Start asking those questions, and you will see magically getting better at this thinking process. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. One more question. So, how did you arrive at the design, which is compact to the user? Did you review the design with your target audience?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. So there are different steps to it. I think somebody had also, I just saw in the comments that somebody has posted about the process. So yes, there is a process, there's a design process in Swiggy, but like I have said in my previous answer, it isn't rigid. It is never rigid in any company because you mold it based on your needs. So one of the processes that we follow when we are designing something new from the scratch, that is like Swiggy Daily, is we meet a lot of people. We identify who could be, based on our intuition, who could be our target audience, and then we figure out 5 or 6 kinds of target audience in our mind based on our intuition and maybe some data. Then we go and meet these kind of people, and then we validate the decisions that we have made by using intuition. Are they right? And after meeting them, we keep filtering this kind of people, and once we know that these are our target audience who we want to target, we keep meeting them in different stages. Once, before we have any artifact to show, we just go and talk to them, understand what their daily behavior, eating behavior and stuff is. And then as and when we start building, we start showing them all those things in the end, and we see their reaction. How would do they even understand what you're trying to convey? All the story that I have said, about Nidhi Parulkar being a YouTube thing, but if that doesn't cause the impact that I wanted to drive, then my work isn't done, right? So, I need to understand how my users are reacting to all the things that I do. So yes, they happen very often. We have a dedicated research team in-house for that.
All right. I think we still have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, we won't be able to take everything in this session. So, like you said, maybe if people can just reach out to you and ask the questions, we'll be able to. Also, post the session, we will try to share a recording of the session for people who were not able to attend, because quite a lot of you pinged me asking for a recording of the session. So we'll look at that as well. All right. So thank you, Saptarshi. I think we had a very interesting session, and people have quite a lot of things to ask. Hope we take this outside.
Yes, guys, thanks a lot for attending. Thanks for spending the Saturday afternoon with me. I know it's a critical time. And if you have questions, and I'm sure you do, I'm sorry I couldn't read through all the questions because I was too engrossed in answering them. Please drop me a message on LinkedIn or any other place, and I will surely answer. I may take a few days of time because times are very critical right now. I'm loaded with work. In fact, I'm working on Saturdays and Sundays as well. So I'll surely get back to you. I might take some time, but yeah, feel free to reach out. We are friends forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.